The mothership waited in water so deep, its anchor chain vanished into darkness after only 30 meters.
For 72 hours, they had fought currents to hold position.
Their vessel was called Orpheus, named for the mythic traveler to the underworld. Its purpose was just as profound.
With a diesel growl, the trails.
The pilots began their descent, leaving the world of light and air behind. The water shifted through gradations of blue, then green.
At 100 meters, red light vanished. They passed through an eternal snowfall of organic debris.
The pressure hull complained as forces mounted, enough to crush a human body into pulp in seconds.
And there it was, the Empress of Kimberley, a skeleton transformed by 70 years into an artificial reef. They entered the wreck, a labyrinth of frozen decay, where dining tables still held corroded silverware. Progress was measured in meters per hour. Each movement required the intuition of decades of deep-sea work. Their target appeared, a reinforced steel door. The combination had died with the captain. They would not open it.
They would cut through the wall beside it. A high-pressure abrasive jet began slicing through steel.
Hours passed in focused concentration. The submersible's pilots worked with the precision of surgeons. The padlocks were fused solid by corrosion. They disintegrated under the precise, high-pressure jet.
With delicate manipulation, the lid was lifted. Inside lay what the ocean had claimed in 1954. The recovery required methodical precision. A single mistake could scatter the fortune across the seafloor.
With the treasure secured, they returned to the lift cables descending from the world above. Connecting the net was a procedure of absolute precision. Failure meant losing everything.
The signal was sent. 3,000 meters above, winches engaged. The treasure began to rise. They rose through the midnight zone, past bioluminescent flashes, back toward the sun.
The Orpheus surfaced into afternoon light, but the true prize was still climbing from the deep.
All right, let's get this secured.
Hatch clear. Closing sequence initiated.
The cargo broke the surface in an explosion of white water. The trunk swung gently in the ocean breeze.
It was lowered with hydraulic precision. On the deck, it looked like anonymous industrial debris.
They were not polished gems, but raw geological miracles. Carbon crystallized under impossible pressure, now held in human hands.
The monetary value seemed almost beside the point. This was proof. The depths could be made to surrender.
Somewhere, a whale breached.
a reminder they were visitors in a realm that remained fundamentally other. Deck lights replaced the sunset. The moment of romance became industrial reality. But the accomplishment remained. The pelagic titan rode at anchor, guardian of a fortune recovered from the depths. A testament to human will. The diamonds from the depths were recovered at last, brought back from darkness into light, from the abyss into legend. In the quiet of the mess, the pilots shared a wordless understanding. The job was done, and they had returned.
On deck, a solitary watch officer contemplated the darkness below and the emptiness the trunk had left behind.
70 years earlier, the Empress of Kimberley was a living ship, its strong room locked with a fortune for a new world. It met a storm in the South Atlantic. The diamonds were swallowed by the sea, entering a long, cold silence. By pre-dawn, the treasure was secured for transit. The ship would soon weigh anchor and turn for home.
The anchor chain, 3,000 meters long, began its own recovery, rattling and groaning back into its locker.
Orpheus was cleaned and inspected. Its scratches were a logbook of the journey, a map of its passage through the wreck.
The mood aboard shifted from tense operation to steady transit. The ocean itself seemed to relent.
Around the world, in corporate offices and insurance archives, a 70-year-old file was finally being closed.
As days passed, the tension dissolved. The shared trial forged a quiet bond that needed no discussion.
Each stone was a scientific specimen. Their quality, size, and origin would be determined long before their monetary value.
Nature offered its own displays. The ocean glowed in their wake, a celebration of light from the living world.
The official log was updated. For maritime records, the story was now fact, no longer legend or insurance claim. Below, the wreck was changed. A hole in the bulkhead, an empty space where the trunk had been bolted down.
The recovery spanned a vertical journey of nearly 3 kilometers. A triumph of engineering over sheer scale.
Dolphins joined the ship, as if escorting the treasure and the crew back to the world of the living.
The engine's thrum was a constant, the heartbeat of the vessel carrying its unlikely cargo home.
Then, a smudge on the horizon. Land. The long isolation of the open ocean was coming to an end. They approached a port of steel and concrete, where their recovery would be processed by lawyers and accountants.
Their berth was secure, private. The transition from sea to shore was a carefully choreographed operation.
The case was transferred not by crane, but by hand. A final, physical connection to what they had recovered. With a solid thud, the treasure left their custody. Its fate was now in the hands of commerce and law.
On the now empty deck, the crew stood in silence. The central purpose of their voyage was gone. The celebration was loud, cathartic. They toasted the sea, the ship, and each other.
For the commander, the moment of departure was quiet. A look back at the ship that had been her world.
The specialized team, bound by the depths, dispersed back into their separate lives on land.
In a secure vault, the diamonds were subjected to new scrutiny. Their worth was now counted, categorized, and insured. Each stone was weighed, its future value estimated by the cold logic of carats, clarity, and color.
The final report was delivered. Adjusted for inflation and market, the recovery was worth over $1 billion.
The world learned the story. Headlines celebrated the technological feat, the romance of recovered treasure. The diamonds slept in a new kind of darkness, a climate-controlled vault beneath a city of light and noise.
The next chapter began. Master cutters plotted how to release the fire trapped within each rough stone.
The first cut was the most critical, a strike of precision that would define the gem's ultimate beauty and value.
Grinding, polishing, faceting. The raw geological product became an object of human art and desire. It arrived at auction. A new kind of pressure, the gaze of collectors, the tension of the gavel about to fall.
Sold.
The gavel fell. The stone had an owner. Its journey from mantle to wreck to vault was complete.
And the ocean? It remained. The wreck site was once again just coordinates, a secret it had surrendered.
The pelagic Titan was refitted. Its crew would change. But its purpose remained. To go where the secrets were.
A few select stones went to museums, not for their value, but for their story, a bridge between history and engineering.
On leave, the commander walked a beach. The ocean was just the ocean again, not a workplace, not an adversary.
From Earth's mantle to a ship's hold, to the abyss, to a cutter's wheel, and finally to a display of light.
New storms, new depths, new wrecks. The cycle continued. The ocean always held another secret. The true treasure was never the stones. It was the proof that with will and wit, light could be brought back from darkness. Orpheus was taken ashore. It would be rebuilt, its systems upgraded for the next descent into another darkness.
In a ledger older than most people in the room, a line was drawn. The financial ghost was laid to rest.
Stories were traded in port bars. The new crew earned a place in the long, salty lineage of seagoing salvors.
The world moved on. Other men pulled other things from the sea, unaware of fortunes lost and won.
Rituals of maintenance continued. Tools were kept ready, trust in equipment being a salvager's first religion. Some losses remained absolute. For families, the sea kept its final, personal mysteries forever.
The knowledge entered academia, a case study in deep-sea archaeology and ethical recovery.
The ship found its rhythm again. Transit, station keeping, deployment. The search for value in the void.
And most of the recovery simply waited. A concentration of carbon and capital, dormant in the dark once more.
We imagined the last act, the captain securing the strong room, believing it a temporary measure, a 70-year temporary.
The mission data became training software. The next generation learned from every cut and every cautious turn.
The human voice from the past was found in logs, a stark contrast to the digital telemetry of its recovery.
Some of the fortune found purpose far from the gem trade. A personal legacy chosen by those who risked the depths.
Life persisted in its mundane routines. The extraordinary became a memory folded into the ordinary.
Every salvage success fueled 100 new speculations. What else lay on the endless, sediment-covered plains? The gems began their silent journeys to private collections, to vaults, to become heirlooms of new families.
The ship's purpose was constant. Only the targets changed. The dance of machinery and deep water repeated. From orbit, it was just a dot, one of thousands of vessels, its unique story invisible from the scale of space.
The last signature was applied. The legal chain of custody, from 1954 to the present, was formally closed.
And in quiet moment, under moonlight, a stone that had known only pressure and darkness finally saw the stars.
From the mantle's fire, to the ocean's cold, to human hands.
In coastal villages, the old sea has a long memory. Stories of ships and storms are passed down like heirlooms.
Technology advanced, informed by the stresses recorded on Orpheus's hull. The next descent would go deeper.
Some diamonds would never be jewels. Their hardness would serve science, medicine, and industry instead. The crew changed, the equipment updated, but the feeling on deck before a descent remained timeless, a focused quiet.
The ship's role evolved. It became a platform not just for taking, but for understanding the deep ocean itself.
The mission became a photograph on a desk, a story told at dinner, a defining peak in a career's range. Their story began long before the ship, forged under immense heat and pressure, then vomited to the surface by volcanoes.
Even a fortune from the abyss passed through the prosaic gates of bureaucracy. A share returned to the public.
In the museum's quiet night, the diamond rested, a piece of the deep earth, now surrounded by human history.
The process continued. Rivers carried new sediment to the deep, slowly, patiently burying the past.
The story was codified in text, a permanent record for those who would never feel the deck tilt beneath them.
The ship was a citizen of the frontier. Its allegiance was to the mission, to the depth, to the contract.
Attention. This is a transcription for the video.
Centuries hence, the wreck will be gone, eaten by rust and pressure.
And so the work continued, chasing the sunrise, chasing coordinates, chasing value hidden in the last great darkness.
In a drop of seawater, a whole world reflected. A ship, a fortune, a struggle.
The global market registered the event as a minor fluctuation. A billion-dollar story reduced to a data point.
The story began here, in ancient rock. The diamond's journey to the sea was millions of years in the making.
Orpheus was retired. Its sphere became a sculpture, a symbol of the threshold between air and abyss.
In a clean room, a sliver of the recovery aided a different kind of search, for cures, for understanding.
The venture's success funded other eyes on the ocean. The circle of knowledge expanded outward.
The work was in the hands. Each pair bore the unique marks of their specific pact with the sea and machinery.
Not everything was left behind. Some artifacts were raised earlier, voices from the past given new breath.
After manipulating arms in the void, there was peace in the simple, sunlit act of putting roots into earth.
The rewards took tangible form. A dream purchased with the memory of risk and cold, deep water.
The digital ghost of the wreck lived on, accessible to anyone, anywhere. A tomb now an open book.
The focus broadened. Profit from the past began funding understanding of the ocean's precarious future.
The celestial clockwork was unchanged. Stars witnessed the loss and witnessed the return. In their ultimate secure state, the diamonds were inert. Their worth was a story, agreement, not a property of the stone.
See how the current pulls it?
Yeah, imagine the ballast shift.
The language of the profession became a second tongue. Even leisure was filtered through a deep-sea lens.
The epic became entertainment, a way to pass time between continents, experienced in a pressurized cabin. And for a child, the sea's treasure was simple. A smooth stone, full of personal magic, requiring no recovery plan. The chain remained, a steel umbilical to the unseen world below, always ready for the next grip on the impossible.
The story inspired imitation in miniature, a spark of wonder lit in a young mind by tales of the deep.
The event became art. The technical feat translated into pure emotion, light, and metaphor.
Names echoed. Empress lived on in paint on sun-bleached wood, carrying no memory of diamonds or drowning.
Value, redistributed, nurtured fragile life, far from the crushing pressure of the abyssal plain.
The strange became familiar. The alien creatures of the Midnight Zone were now old acquaintances.
A fragment of the deep Earth's product helped humanity look outward, its purpose transformed entirely.
The ultimate irony. A diamond that survived the deep was set into a machine made to briefly visit it.
The secret was out. The site was now a waypoint, a checked box on the charts of other treasure hunters.
The legacy was diffuse. It entered the material world in ways too subtle, too integrated, to ever trace.
The true wealth of the deep was never in strong rooms. It was in the life that thrived in absolute darkness.
The surface storms were mere weather. They had faced the eternal, silent storm of pressure in the deep.
The final exchange was not of stone for hand, but of data for data. A consensus of value in the digital ether.
A new net was cast over the ocean, not of chains, but of signals. Listening, always listening.
Every recovery leaves an absence, a space where a secret was,
In the end, the relationship simplified. Not conqueror, not engineer. Just a hand in the water, feeling the connection.
The mission generated new academic questions. The physics of heat in a high pressure, perpetual cold.
The story's origin point was also a ghost. Human frenzy extracted the treasure, then moved on. The stone's final stage, adornment. Its brutal history now a cocktail party anecdote, if mentioned at all.
Some secrets remained. The full reason for the diamond's voyage was buried deeper than the sea.
and the horizon remained.
the only true constant.